Virgil van Dijk has spoken. Virgil van Dijk has revealed a little bit of progress on his contract. Some positive news finally about the contracts regarding Virgil van Dijk, especially. We need it. We need this positive news coming out of Anfield because of yesterday's result. It's not looking good right now in terms of performances on the pitch. Yes, we still look like we're going to go win the league because it's such a big points difference between us and Arsenal. But we need this positivity regarding the contracts. Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk's contract is still up in the air. Virgil has spoken about it though. A little bit on Konate's news as well in today's news. Konate potentially going next year, potentially because of his contract running out as well. But it has been revealed how much the agent is asking for Konate's wage packet in terms of going forward with Liverpool Football Club, and a little bit on Liam Delap and his links to Liverpool as well. So let's start with Virgil. So Lewis Steele, he was the one that came out with this earlier on Twitter. Virgil van Dijk has spoken to him and another person. I don't know who the person was. It is an actual recording, so I can hear the voices. So Lewis Steele, that's definitely one of his voices on there. It's definitely Lewis's voice speaking to Virgil van Dijk, and we're asking about his future. Is anything happening? Basically, is anything happening with this? This is what Virgil van Dijk had to say. There is progress, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. He was asked about saying. Listen, these are internal discussions. I love the club and I love the fans, which is exactly what he said the other day regarding loving the club and loving fans. I started thinking, is he saying that because, he is going, it's like, my love's for the fans here. No matter what happens here, I still love the club, still love the fans. And it's not my choice that I'm going here. I love the club and I love the fans. He also went on to speak about yesterday's performance. I love the club, I love the fans. They were there for us again. We want to reward them, but I want to be there again Sunday and make the stadium an amazing venue like always for us. We have to make it work, and we will. In terms of going into Sunday against West Ham, hope is open again for the stadium to be rocking. But regarding his future, a little bit of positivity. He says there is progress. Progress could mean in like the talks are going further down the line in terms of disagreeing or agreeing in things happening. We don't know if it's positive progress, but it did sound a little bit positive in his conversation, in his speech. I'm holding on hope now. I've said before on this channel many times now. I've got to prepare myself mentally for the worst under FSG because I know how tight they are. I know they're going to try cut corners. Virgil van Dijk and Salah staying is an absolute must, especially after Trent going. I'm not happy about Trent going anyway, but Virgil and Salah staying is an absolute must. We need these two to stay. This is a little bit of positivity. I'm holding on hope of them staying massively. If we want to progress next season, and whether they win the Premier League title or not, we need to look at these contracts and building on these two players in the next 2 years, getting players to replace them at some point, but bring them in early. And we can't allow these two to leave this summer and have to replace them like that. That would be a massive, massive, massive backward step. So yeah, a bit of positive news on Virgil van Dijk. Going on to the Konate news now. TimeSpot has revealed that Liverpool began talks with Ibrahima Konate before October last year. The defender earns 80 grand a week, and is understood his representatives were seeking closer to 200 grand a week. 200 grand a week is probably a decent amount of money for certainly a defender. I think Virgil's earned that sort of money up there. Konate, I think he's probably worth, I'd say 150 grand a week for Konate. I know 50 grand extra for 200 grand a week, but I think you got to earn that sort of extra to get 200 more for me. Konate has earned quite a bit. He's been sensational since coming on, but he hasn't done like what Virgil's done, if that makes sense. I think he's got to be a bit here a little bit longer to earn 200 plus, if that makes sense. But 200 grand, look, if it means keeping Konate, it's an hard one in it because we need to keep Konate. Virgil's future on hold right now, but Konate is a must as well, keeping, because losing Virgil's one thing. And we're going to lose Virgil in the next 4 years anyway. But to lose Konate as well would be a massive, massive, massive backward step as well, because Konate is going to be our guy that we're going to build on the defence with That is my hope, anyway, to build on our defence around Konate. Konate being the main guy. His injuries are a big problem. But again, then that comes into the talk about his future as well, and comes into talk about his contract. Are you going to pay 200 grand for a player that's injured a lot? That does come into it, and I'm a little bit more wiggle room in terms of that, because I get it. I get the club stance. If we aren't going to pay him 200 grand, I get it because of the injuries for me, and the fact that he's got to do it a little bit longer. But it's definitely a worry for me in terms of Konate. I think Konate's been waiting for the Virgil news. I think he's been waiting for the Salah news, certainly, in agreeing with his contract. But we can't lose Virgil and Konate in the space of a couple of years for free as well, because Konate's going for free next year. Just got to remember that, and it would be an absolute disaster. And we've got to sort it out now. Actually, thinking about it, because Trent is going for free, Salah and Van Dijk could go for free. We've got to sort out Konate's contract this year, because if we don't, then we've got to sell him and get some money for him, because we can't let him go for free the way Trent's going for free. We can't let that happen again, because next year his contract runs out and he will be going for free. The PSG have been looking. Real Madrid obviously will be looking. I think PSG would be a likely destination for Konate, because the French connection. Playing for PSG is like the biggest team in France. They're now looking good in terms of Champions League. They've got a very good young side there at PSG, and they need to sort that defence. I think Konate would be a perfect signing for them to start sorting out that defence. But for us, we've got to keep our best players, and Konate could potentially be one of our best players once Virgil leaves as well. So we've got to keep him as much as we can. But again, if we're not agreeing on the contract, as we aren't doing at the moment with contracts, there's a possibility he could leave this summer because of selling him, or we let him go for free next summer. This summer's just going to be crazy, absolutely crazy. One player linked to Liverpool and amongst other clubs as well is Liam Delap of Ipswich. A sensational season for the striker. Pretty much a standout at Ipswich, trying to do his best to keep Ipswich up. All pretty much failing because Ipswich are going to go down, but he's been a shining light in that team this season. Liam Delap is wanted by many of clubs, Liverpool amongst them, but he is number one target for Manchester United. Manchester United do want the striker. Højlund didn't really picking up trees this season, hasn't done since joining Man United, so Liam Delap is number one target for Manchester United. But Liverpool are amongst the teams that are interested in the player. Liverpool need a striker, quite clear. Núñez is going to go in the summer. Jota's, we don't know what's going on with Jota. Jota's unreliable in terms of fitness, but Liam Delap will be one of those players Liverpool look at. I don't think it's the worst. If I would bring Liam Delap in, I'd want to bring another striker in as well. I love Liam Delap. He's a good striker, but I want him to be the main guy at Liverpool straight away. He's still young. He's still got plenty of time to develop and be even better player. I just think it's a lot on. We've seen what happens. Darwin Núñez absolutely failed at the pressure of Liverpool Football Club. We need a proven player for me in that position right now. But in terms of Liam Delap, I'd certainly take him as, I would say, a backup. I don't mind rotated something like that. It's a bit disrespectful for Liam Delap's progress this season, especially. That is a backup. But I think you'd take that out of Liverpool, because Liverpool Football Club, you're not guaranteed a place most of the time. Slot has its favourites. I'd love some competition for that striker position, and I can't. If it was up to me, I'd let Jota and Núñez go, and I'd bring in two strikers and make it a competition between them both. So my perfect scenario would be Isak, and then someone like a Liam Delap as a backup. That would be my perfect position on that. But knowing FSG, that's Damon Damon Hat, but FSG Hat, Liam Delap's a serious contender for number one target for Liverpool in terms of replacing Núñez straight up top, because I think there was a report the other day that £36 million release clause potentially for Delap's services, which would excite Michael Edwards and FSG, because it's a cheap option. Again, I think he's been. I don't want to disrespect Liam Delap. I think he's been sensational. I think he's been absolutely unreal, and he's done his best to keep Ipswich up. and he does deserve that move to a bigger club, like Manchester United, Liverpool, someone like that. Certainly deserves it. But like I said, knowing our club, I won't want him as just a number one option, and get him in, and that's it. Don't get another backup, because it's a lot of pressure for a big step up for him. And I'd rather someone like Isak that has done it at Newcastle for a couple of years now, 2 years in the Premier League, sensational, and just breaking records at Newcastle. By the way, breaking Alan Shearer records at the moment, proven. And I'd rather that than Liam Delap straight up. But he's a very good striker, Liam Delap. I just maybe let Man United get him first before we unless we are serious about getting 2 strikers, then I won't mind Liam Delap, if I'm honest. So some big news on Virgil Van Dijk today, guys. Are you positive that Virgil Van Dijk stays? Let me know in the comments. I am getting a bit more excited about it. I do want him to stay massively. I think if we lose Van Dijk and lose Salah as well as Trent, it's just a huge backward step. Make sure you do like, subscribe, notification bells on, comment in the comments as well. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, guys.